You know that sound. That deep, rolling, steady hum. It comes from her chest. It comes from her throat. It's so familiar that you sometimes don't even hear it anymore. But today I'm going to show you what that sound really is. And I promise you, you'll never tune it out again. Your cat's purring is not just a sign of well-being. It's one of the most fascinating biological phenomena any pet has ever developed. And it has a direct, measurable effect on your body every single evening. Stay until the end, because the final part explains why cats are the only animal in the world that purrs for a very specific reason. And that reason has nothing to do with you, but at the same time, everything. Before I explain the biology, let me ask you a question. When do you hear your cat's purring most intensely? Most people say, when she's lying on me, when I'm stressed, when I'm sick. And that's no coincidence. That's evolutionary design. Let's start with the physics. Sounds dry, it won't stay that way. When your cat purrs, she generates sound waves with a frequency of 25 to 150 hertz. That's not an accidental range. That's precise biology. Because exactly this frequency range is the one in which human and animal tissue responds to vibration. Bones densify at 25 to 50 hertz. Muscles relax at 50 to 100 hertz. Inflammatory processes slow down in that same frequency range. That's not theory. It's actively used in sports medicine, in physiotherapy. And your cat produces it, just like that, on your lap. When she purrs and lies on you, she's treating you. Without a prescription, without cost, without knowing what she's doing. That's not an accident of evolution. That's a mechanism that developed over thousands of years. But let me now tell you something most people don't know. Cats don't only purr when they're happy. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about cats. Cats purr when they're in pain, when they're afraid, when they give birth, when they're dying. Purring isn't joy. Purring is regulation. It's the mechanism through which a cat stabilizes her own body. When she's injured, she purrs to speed up healing. When she's under stress, she purrs to lower her heart rate. Purring is medicine that comes from within, for herself. And when she lies on you and purrs, you're part of it. Not because she does it for you, but because you're in her proximity. You benefit from a healing method she developed for herself. That's perhaps the most beautiful form of unintentional generosity I know. But before we continue, I want to say something I consider particularly important. There are cat owners who've reported in studies, when they're sad, their cat comes and purrs louder than usual. Not softer, not more quietly, more intensely. As if she knows the vibration needs to be stronger now. That's not romanticizing. That was documented in ethological observations. Cats change their purring frequency depending on context. And one of the contexts that leads to stronger purring is the emotional distress of their person. That means they don't just react to you, they adapt to you. Now let me show you the next part, the one that fascinates me most personally. How does purring actually happen? You might think, in the throat somehow, but the biology is more complex. Purring is created by the rapid opening and closing of the glottis, up to 30 times per second. That's a muscle reflex controlled by the central nervous system. And it happens both when inhaling and when exhaling. That makes purring one of the few sounds in the animal kingdom that creates a continuous, steady pattern. No beginning, no end. Simply a constant flow. And it's precisely this flow that works on our nervous system. The brain hears evenness. It hears rhythm. It hears safety. And it responds with relaxation. You don't have to decide to become calm. You hear the purring, and it just happens. That's neurobiology. No will, no effort. Simply sound, body, response. But here's something that goes even deeper. There are studies showing people who are regularly exposed to a cat's purring have a measurably lower resting heart rate. That means your heart learns it. It adapts. Long-term contact with purring changes your cardiovascular system. That sounds extreme, but it's documented in the specialist literature. A cat in the house is not a comfort item. It's a health intervention. One you never ordered, but receive daily. Now let me tell you about the different types of purring. Because not every purr is the same, and you can learn to tell them apart. The first is the rest purr. Deep, steady, slow. You know it from evenings when everything is calm. The second is the solicitation purr, also called solicitation purring. It sounds similar, but embedded in a high tone that resembles a baby crying. Researchers at the University of Sussex found people react to this purr instinctively. The same urge we feel when a toddler cries. So your cat has developed a tool that reaches directly into your evolutionary care system. When she purrs and has that higher component, she wants something. And you'll give it to her, almost always. That's not manipulation in a bad sense. That's perfect communication. She says something. You hear it. You react. She's satisfied. Now comes a question you might have asked yourself. Why do domestic cats purr so much more than their wild relatives? Lions roar. Tigers roar. Cheetahs purr, but more rarely and more quietly. Domestic cats purr at a level that would never have been necessary in the wild. And the most compelling explanation for this is domestic cats have further developed purring because it works with us. We react to that sound. We become calmer. We become more benevolent. We give them more food, more petting, more warmth. So purring is also a form of communication. Not consciously, not planned, but incredibly effective. Your cat has learned over thousands of generations. When I purr, I feel better. And I feel better when the human beside me is doing well. That's coevolution, two species that have shaped each other. Now I come to the part one promised you at the beginning. Why do cats really purr? Not just from contentment, not just as communication. Cats purr to survive. Studies show cats who can purr heal faster from fractures. They recover faster from surgeries. Their muscles atrophy more slowly when at rest. Purring is their internal tool against the weakness of stillness. And for an animal that sleeps up to 16 hours a day, that's vital. They purr to stay fit, to repair themselves, to keep going. And when they do that on your chest, they're doing you the same service. Not because they decided to, but because you're there. Let me put that differently one more time. You're not just the person who has a cat. You're the person a cat shares her healing work with. Simply through being present. Simply through your body warmth. Simply by being there. That's one of the unique forms of connection between humans and animals that we know. And that's perhaps the most beautiful thing. It happens without a decision. It's nature, pure, warm, vibrating life. Directly on you, directly in you. The next time you hear her purring, place your hand on her chest. Feel the vibration, count the breaths, observe the rhythm. And then observe yourself. How your breath slows, how your shoulders drop. How the stillness settles around you both, that particular warm stillness. That's not imagination. That's physics and biology meeting in a living room moment. That's your cat. That's her gift. That's this sound you'll never tune out again. And the next time you come home exhausted after a long day, and she comes to you, jumps on the couch, closes her eyes, and starts to purr, then you now know that's no small thing. That's millions of years of biology unfolding in your living room. That's a living tool that heals you without being aware of it. That's the most beautiful, most casual gift an animal can give a human being. Write us in the comments. Does your cat purr a lot? And when does she purr the most? When you're sick? When you cry? When you're simply quiet? We're looking forward to your answers. Because every purr is a story, and we'd love to hear it.